Good evening and welcome to our second installment of Sports Weekly for Cleveland fans. We'll be heading back to the end of the Guardians and the Orioles in the third right now in a scoreless game. We'll be heading back there after 8 o'clock. Sports Weekly driven by Terry Hendricks Ford and live, of course, here at JJ Wins in Holiday City and presented in part by Bryan Parks and Recreation Department, Fackler Monument Company, and the main stops of Northwest Ohio. A lot to get to tonight. We'll talk Hilltop football with head coach Nate Massie in just a moment. The Foz, I mean, if you're somewhere locked into Vegas, you want Mike Bumb on board with predictions, and he's got everything before the show's done, don't you, Foz? I mean, you got everything. And Grant Redhead from Bryan is up first. All you got everything.
All you got to do is ask, Angie.
I know.
I got anything.
And
you need
I
to
will
make
ask.
Money, right?
I will ask, and you're going to, the only stipend is here that you have to, stipulation is you're winning people in Northwest Ohio money with these locks and these safe bets.
Well, I am. And last year, you remember my record was
pretty
really
close
good.
to spotless.
It was really good. Not spotless, but
pretty
good.
Close.
Got a pretty good dude to my left.
Coach Grant Redhead, how are you?
Well, doing well tonight. I appreciate you guys having me.
Do you realize, you may not even remember this because a lot of life has happened for all of us, but it came up in my social media memories. You and Ben Wilhelm from Edgerton were on our first show 7 years ago. And this is our final season. I don't know if you knew that. This is our last hurrah, our final rodeo this year. So we appreciate you coming back on, and not quite the first show this year, but the second one.
Well, yeah, I remember that first show we had, and that was my first year at Bryan, and I kind of remember a lot from that year, and it was this is a really neat program and things that we've had, and it's just like talking to two old buddies when we come up here.
We appreciate you coming on. 1-1 start for the Bears. Before we get to the first couple of games, I want to ask you about the offseason for Bryan and maybe through scrimmages. Tell us a little bit about this team that you had coming back on paper.
Well, we've got a lot of starters in returning lettermen come back. 18 returning lettermen. We had 7 starters on offense, 6 on defense. So we got a good core of guys coming back and a lot of kids we rotated in. So experience is not our problem. Our problem is, where we fit other people in. Had a great offseason in the weight room. The kids have done an outstanding job at committing. And in this day and age when, everything else is on social media, to go into a weight room at 8 a.m. in the morning, 3 days a week and just get a good workout in. I give the kids all the credit in the world.
Numbers this year, Coach?
Numbers are average, a little bit down. We're at 53. We've had some injuries that have taken some kids out, and they're about par. Sometimes you see numbers rise with success. Sometimes you see them drop when you don't have success. We've stayed right in the mid-50s since I've been here.
Yeah.
So what did you have back that you would consider strengths of this football team? I mean, you mentioned the experience. Obviously, that's a big one. But between the lines, what are some strengths of this team, and where are some areas, even now that you're continuing, that you need to get better at?
Well, we had 2 quarterbacks. Each started 5 games because of injuries and different things. They both have good experience. We have 5 offensive linemen returning. We have both inside linebackers back. Our secondary is an area, and our outside receivers are an area that we are concerned with, and kids are growing up. That's the big thing. We're not trying to get down on them. It's like, listen, we need you to grow up, and your team needs you to grow up. So let's get going. And they've responded, and that's a good thing. So the areas that we've struggled with a little bit, the kids are stepping up, and they're starting to be varsity players.
What's that process like? When you mentioned growing up, guys, we need this to happen. So what's that process like for you as a coach and then for those young kids?
Painful, okay? I mean, it just, their skill and talent level. They don't quite get it. And you have to break it down, and you have to put it in terms that they understand. And then you see the light bulb click, and they get it. I told one of the receivers, I said, listen, just focus on catching the ball, looking the ball into your hands, and doing nothing else. Okay, run your route, focus on the ball in your hands. After that, everything's gravy. And he's been doing a great job in the last week and a half catching the ball, but he was struggling early on and struggled at Van Wert. So, just breaking things down to where kids can understand it, and then they understand it. And, you keep them on their side. you know they know that you're gonna fight for them and you love them, and they're gonna go through a brick wall for you.
So you started out the season against Van Wert, which I hear tell is a WBL favorite to win the conference. A team that's loaded coming back, so kind of not necessarily telling of the type of success that you hope to have this year because you played such a difficult opponent. I guess talk a little bit about Van Wert, but more importantly, Coach, talk about how you think that prepared you for your other non-conference games, which you've got to win against Mount Maumee, and we'll talk about that too, and then Fairview next week, and then more importantly, the NWAL.
Well, Van Wert has been one of the longest rivalries in the state with Bryan and Van Wert, and they were really good this year. That's one of the top 3 teams, as I was telling you before.
And you made a comment to me off air that you think that's a team that could win the state championship.
I think they can go all the way. Yeah. That is the most complete team I have played in Ohio since I've been here 8 years.
That's big words.
And I played some really good Archibald teams, some really good Liberty Center teams, and those kids are big, physical, fast, and they are focused. Yeah. You can tell when a team is laser focused, and they were. And I've got some first-year starters and some kids that are growing up, and it was just when they made wholesale subs and didn't have a single kid miss a substitution in the second half.
On their backups, you were saying.
Yeah, on their backups. Not on kickoff, not on punt, not on offense or defense. They've got it rolling, and they're very, very good. And it helps us.
It does help you. And then, of course, you go into Maumee after, losing to Van Wert. How did that prepare you against Maumee? Had a big first quarter. Then maybe some things didn't quite go the way you were looking at. Talk to us again about that, and then the discussions maybe you had at halftime with the kids.
Well, we go into Maumee, and we play physical. We go up 26-0, and I think we took our foot off the gas, and that's youth. Sometimes youth will say, oh, we got this, and they start relaxing. And, no, you've got to keep your foot on the gas all the way, and they didn't do that. So at halftime, I challenged them. Yeah. And, I sat there and was, we have to step up. I'm tired of, the youthful play. We need to be men. Play like a man, not like a boy. And the kids responded. They came out, we made 2 bad plays on defense and gave them an easy touchdown, and they brought it within 6. And after that, it was no looking back.
Yeah.
The kids got fired up, and they just we shoved it right down their throat.
And you finished the game the way you want to do it. Now you got a Fairview team, another winnable game for you before you get into the NWAL. Talk to us a little bit about Fairview.
Well, I told the kids today, and I've told them all week, I want to see us play 4 quarters. Okay, play from start to finish. Don't take your foot off the gas. Don't stop, and execute and play our game. Don't worry about what they're doing. You do what we coach you to do, and you're going to be successful. And, that's what we've been preaching all week, and I think that's, if we can do it, they're an improved team over last year, so we're not taking them light by any means, but hopefully we can lean on our big offensive line and our running game and, control the tempo of the game.
I want to ask you about that running game. You lose a Corbin Shepard who broke a few records for you, and in recent memory, as good a back as Bryan has had. Mm-hmm. So is it more by committee this year with guys, or talk about that running attack behind that veteran offensive line?
Well, it's not thunder and lightning. It's thunder, thunder, thunder. Okay, we've got some big boys. Sammy Harold's 210. Aiden Pels is 207. And Damian Wolf's our light guy at 190. And, they're all 3. Pels and Harold get the majority, and they are downhill runners. They're the guys that are the Larry Zonka type that double skin the ball and just run power for 10 yards, and they're not worried about running around somebody. They want to run over them. So it's a good thing. They're both my starting linebackers, so we do a lot of subbing and keep them fresh, but we've done a good job of that, and if we keep blocking, it's going to be good.
Schematically, have you changed? I know you've been more of a spread guy. You talk about your power run game. Is it still a power run game out of the spread look, or have you changed schematically?
No, it's still a power run game out of the spread look, and because we have some RPOs, run pass options and things that we run. But the biggest thing is if you can run the ball, I don't care if it's out of too tight, power I, or if it is out of the spread, you're going to be successful because that keeps the defense guessing. And that's the one thing. Scott Staten is my coordinator. He's on the communist side of the ball, as I jokingly call it, because I coach defense, but he does a fantastic job of mixing in run pass. He doesn't get too cute. Sometimes those offensive guys want to, let's just start throwing screens or this or that, and they try and run gimmick plays. No, he's an XO lineman, so he just keeps running power and hammering away at them and then hits them on a play action.
You mentioned the defensive side, and you mentioned the secondary is of the position groups is your group that's growing more than the others. As the defensive coordinator, what's the ceiling of that group on that side?
Athletically, sky's the limit. We've got guys that can run. They can cover and they can fill on the run. We scrimmaged Napoleon. They went too tight, straight T backs, old school, and we did a good job against it. But sometimes when we get in space, we're losing people, and we have to get our coverages down. And we've been working on that. It's just youth and lack of reps, and we're really trying to duplicate that in practice.
Are you man-to-man in the secondary zone? You mixing it up?
We'll run man and zone and some combo,
Yeah.
some sky cloud and things like that. We're not trying to overload them. We do it by the opponent and by what they give us, and we all run it out of a base coverage. So we've got a base cover 3 and a base man, and we can adjust everything out of there.
Bummer mentioned Fairview this week, and then the league starts. Archbold Liberty in some form. I think Archbold was voted as the preseason favorite, but Liberty is obviously terrifically talented, and they split last year. How do you see the league this year based on all the teams?
Well, I think those two got a slight edge, and then Wauseon, PH, ourselves, we're right there, and if somebody goes to sleep, they're going to get bit.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, Liberty was a 9-0 team, or 8-0, and we went in and beat them in 2019, and it shocked the world. That can happen in the NWL if you just play hard.
It sure can. And you mentioned those teams that are top tier. We also, I know they lost this week, but Wauseon's a quality team as well. With the expanded playoff format, 15 teams getting in, you got to believe that you're in a pretty strong position to make a run for that and make the postseason play.
I think we can. We just got to keep improving every day and every week.
Way down the road. I know, one game at a time, that kind of stuff.
The cart's not before the horse,
Right.
But, if we keep progressing, we get better every week, and we see progress throughout the week. If we can do that, we got a shot. Now, I don't really feel like going south on 127 again, but if I'm in the playoffs, I'm not complaining because I'm still in the playoffs and I'm playing and I'm not hanging my pads up. So I'll go play anybody.
Yeah, and that's great success. Again, that'll build for the next year and good for the community, et cetera, et cetera.
What's you mentioned your numbers at the high school level. How about down at the junior high level and lower even? What are the numbers looking like coming forward?
Well, right now we've got a couple small classes in our junior high. We've got quality. We just don't have the quantity. And we've got a combined 7th, 8th team. We had to do it last year and then this year. But we've got a huge Little Bears program. We've got 30 6th graders, and we've got 24 5th graders. And we've got 130 kids in our flag program. So
that's huge.
It's coming. It's just, these are smaller classes, and participation has always been down in every sport.
Oh, and you said the 8th grade class has something like 56 boys total? 51 boys, which I don't know if Bryan's ever had a class
it's just
that
a
small.
little
I don't ever remember it, but that's a lot less to choose from.
We've got some really good athletes in that class and kids that are working hard. So, like you said, we've got quality. We may not have the quantity, but PH has won the league with 43, 42 kids. I've seen other teams do really well. We just got to play football and worry about us and stay healthy.
Do you like the makeup of your? Of course, you're going to tell me yes. You're on the radio. I get that. But, the vibe, the makeup, the leadership, all those intangibles. I guess. Talk to me about that. I mean, is that? You've been around a long time. You've coached some great players. You've coached guys that are in the NFL or played in the NFL. So, Do you like the direction and the leadership and the makeup of this club?
I do, and it's not. This is a great group of kids just because they listen.
Give me one thing you like about this club.
Coachability.
There you go.
Okay? Not at all positions, they listen. Now, they try to do it. Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. I mean, they're 16-year-old kids. 1 minute, they're thinking about their offensive assignment. And the next minute, they're thinking about Burger King. I mean, let's face it. I know when I was 16. But they're good kids. They focus. They want to win and do well for their families, for their team, and for their town. And as long as they do their best, I'll take it because I like being around them.
Coach, we appreciate you coming on. We like being around you. Thanks for coming and being on our show here in the final year. Good luck this week and the rest of the way. You can hear this game with Fairview and all of them on our sister station, 96.5. Thanks again.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, brother. It's good
Grant
to see you.
Redhead, head coach of the Bryan Golden Bears, our first guest. We'll talk Hilltop football next with head coach Nate Massie coming up on B-Rock.
Here's your updated B-Rock 100.9 forecast. Lows level off around 57 tonight under clear skies. West winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Highs level off around 84 tomorrow. Mainly sunny skies and calm. Lows level off around 60 tomorrow night. Partly cloudy skies. Highs around 86 Friday under partly cloudy skies. 88 Saturday. Chance for scattered showers. I'm weatherology meteorologist Paul Tremblay. Currently, it's 78 degrees.
I want to talk to you for the next 30 seconds about the place to go for your next vehicle. Terry Hendricks Ford on Stryker Street in Archibald. Whether it's a new vehicle for purchase, a lease vehicle, or perhaps a pre-owned vehicle, Terry Hendricks Ford on Stryker Street in Archibald is the place to turn. They also have this fantastic service department as well. Service after the sale. Terry Hendricks Ford, serving all of your vehicle needs in Northwest Ohio. Go to terryhendricksford.com.
Hi, I'm Sally Jo Metzger with the Fackler Monument Company in Montpelier, Ohio. It's fair season, and we'll have a booth at the Fulton County Fair this year. Come out and save 10% on all upright memorials. The Fackler Monument Company features the largest indoor memorial display in the tri-state area. You can go online to facklermonument.com to see what we have to offer. And we're bringing you the opportunity to save 10% at the Fulton County Fair. The Fackler Monument Company of Montpelier, Ohio, serving families since 1924.
The Bryan Parks and Recreation Department would like to wish the Bryan Golden Bears good luck in tonight's game. The Bryan Parks and Rec offers a wide variety of classes for you during the entire year and an array of sporting events all year long. Check out what the Bryan Parks and Recreations Department has going on at bryanparksandrec.com or like them on Facebook. The Bryan Parks and Rec hopes to see you in one of the many parks that Bryan has to offer and enjoy the facilities. Questions about the classes or rental of one of their facilities, call 633-6030.
It's Thirsty Thursday at all the main stops in Northwest Ohio. What does that mean? It means that every Thursday, all day long, you will get any size fountain drink or any size coffee for only 79 cents. All day long, every Thursday, any size fountain drink, any size coffee or cappuccino. Stop in to your main stop and see everything they have to offer every day. Main stops, always there when you need us.
Welcome back to Sports Weekly, driven by Terry Hendricks Ford here at JJ Wins in Holiday City. This is week number 2. Next week, we dive into the GMC and the NWOAL. Good show next week. Edgerton head football coach Brody Flagel will be on the show, and head coach of the Archibald Blue Streaks, David Dominic, will join us.
They're not bad, are they?
Next Wednesday night. 2 weeks from tonight, one guest we've got confirmed is Defiance head coach Travis Cooper. Able to get him in on our first time he's been on, and it'll be in our final season.
Is that the first time we've ever had?
As
big win
Defiance
in week
for
1
sure.
for Napoleon. Yeah, he was for Wasion. He was on.
Yeah,
with. And
competitive last week.
Competitive last week against
St. Mary's,
who's really good.
Yep.
So yeah, good. He's got him going in the right direction.
And we're working on a couple of potential reunion shows as well. We are celebrating anniversary years of either playoff teams or state championship teams 25, 30 years ago. So we're hoping that we can make that work down the road.
Yeah.
Talking Hilltop head football, or with Hilltop head football coach Nate Massie now. Coach, thanks for being on with us.
Thanks for having me.
I know not the start you envisioned or Hilltop had envisioned this year. Really rough go of it right now. Before we kind of jump into the season, I want to ask you about the kids, your off season, how would you kind of judge that over at Hilltop and what they were able to do for you in the off season?
I think we worked hard this off season. You know, we've been trying to get better each and every day, and I think I know how the first 2 games look, and I think, you know, there are some positives that we can take away from those 2 games, and we've seen some improvement out of each and every one of our kids, and they're continuing to work hard to get better.
What's this group dynamic like? What's this group like to coach for you?
Oh, I enjoy them. Every day is a fun day, and you know, they're competitive. They want to get after it. We've tried some different things in practice to make it more competitive. When you only have 24 kids, it can be tough to get, you know, an aggressive look from the other side, and so we've made it competitive. We have periods where the first team O is going against the scout team, and they're down 10 points, and they got 4 minutes to score, and that's made it better. And I've seen kids, you know, blossom from it and become more aggressive.
Talk about, I know there's going to be a big upgrade. Let's start there. Talk about the new facility that's coming into Hilltop. And I know I was talking to Tony Gehrig, the athletic director, last night. I think that's going to be a lot of basketball/volleyball, but it's also going to have some football elements too. So big things, exciting things coming to Hilltop. Oh, great community. If you have never been around the people of Hilltop, they are the greatest people. Of course, I've worked there for several years, so I know that firsthand. And I know they're hungry. I know you're hungry for some success on the football field. Talk about this facility and how hopefully that'll get you to that next level.
Well, we're doubling the size of our weight room, so that's a positive. I mean, our weight room's pretty small right now. By taking it out of the school, we're doubling. We're adding 2 classrooms.
What are they going to do with that room?
They're adding a classroom. They're turning that into the chorus room and then splitting the chorus room. So we have an actual classroom for myself.
You don't need one of those, do you?
No, I kind of do.
I'm kidding you, brother.
But you're also adding football locker room storage for the junior high. Also locker rooms for games. You know, a lot of times we have to clear everything out for volleyball games and basketball games, all the things that go on there. The addition of a gym, you know, and that's huge. You know, sometimes we do have to use the gym because thunderstorms and things like that. Right. So that gives us a facility.
It's all right out there at the main campus. Yeah. Now, the next question, it's really neat. I've always loved going into the park at Hilltop. If you've never been in there in the stadium, I just like those old school feels in town and in the park. But because of all of those new things being built on the school campus outside, is the long-term idea of maybe getting football games out there to the school campus, or are you still going to keep it into the park? Much like Archibald, now they've moved ours all out to their school area, and they don't have it in the park. A lot of people still upset by that, by the way, so I don't know how it would go over in Hilltop or not. But
I think it's a discussion. I know, you know, they've talked about it before, and they've looked at it. I think even when you were there, I think they talked about moving it out.
Flirted with it a little bit, but I don't know if there was any serious conversations. Yeah.
You look at the press box. That's something that's going to need replaced at some point, and that might be when the move happens. Yeah. But at this current juncture, there's not a plan for that. I will add, I forgot to add this, they are building a junior high practice field, which for the last few years we haven't really had. It's been kind of a rocky field out there that we've been practicing on with the junior high. So we don't have to share a field with the junior high anymore.
Oh, that's all. Everything sounds positive in all of that's going on. What's identity of your team right now? Or is this something you're still searching? Is it still a work in progress in all facets, really?
I think we're still a work in progress, but if you look at us offensively, I think, you know, where we really are excelling right now is the passing game. We actually look very well with our RPOs and the things we're running out of our zone read. Cameron Slosher, who's a sophomore and has never played quarterback, has done fantastic, completing about 50% of his throws. And
throwing the ball most downs, Nate, or what do we mix, or what's going on?
It's a mix, and we have those RPOs in there.
What's your reads on those RPOs? Tell everybody, people don't know what run pass option means.
So most times we're reading the outside backer, and he's been collapsing down on our run game most times because we are larger up front than we have been in the past. We've got a lot more depth on our offensive line, and with that he's been hitting some open throws, and for the most part we've been catching it, and we've had a lot of explosive plays out of it. We just have to hold on to the football. You know, we've fumbled I think five times in 2 games, and you know,
that's 5 times too many.
Yeah.
Yeah, run-pass option. So for people out there that may not know, you're a casual fan, that's when you call in one play and the quarterback essentially, however they got it organized, has the option to either run the ball, give the ball to a running back, or throw the ball, and depending on what the defense does. So you can call one play, and essentially it's 2 or maybe even 3 plays. It all depends.
Boz always has his analyst hat on.
Well,
he's an educator and an entertainer.
You got to explain yourself to the public, right?
Hey,
you got to explain yourself.
Dude, I'm giving you some props.
Kind of like Al McGuire, 2-3 zone. That's 2 guys up front, 3 down low.
Now you got some people in our audience going Al McGuire.
Marquette, man.
Defensively, talk to us about that side of the ball. I know that's probably the area. All areas need work right now, but tell us about that side.
Defensively, it's a struggle right now. We had 5 linebackers that we had to replace out of a 3-5 defense, so we kind of shifted to a 4-2. We have a couple backers that are more your in-the-box backers, and as we've talked about, we are a slower of foot right now. We defend old school offenses a lot better than we do spreads, and we've faced 2 spread offenses so far. Yeah, so you're gonna a little tougher.
Defend probably the best of the spreads this Friday night with Antwerp again. What do you tell your kids? Obviously, no getting around it. Overwhelming underdogs that you are in this game. So how do you keep your kids focused, excited to play? Involved in improvement during practice, of knowing you're going up against a team, because kids aren't dumb, and knowing you're going up against a team that quite frankly has probably got a little bit better roster. Doesn't mean you can't win, but it's going to be a difficult task.
I think part of it is we're playing against ourselves right now. Yeah. I mean, with all the turnovers.
Is that the message you're preaching with your kids? That's good.
We just got to get better. We got to convert first downs. Yeah. We can't go a whole first quarter without converting or turning the ball over right now. I mean, we've had some solid drives and turned the ball over and just not completed those drives. Defensively, we've made teams work. I mean, we go back and look, it's 10 to 15 plays, and they're getting it on their own. They're coming in 40, and it takes them 10, 15 plays to score. That's pretty good defense. We get them into 4th down, 3rd down and long, and we're just not where we need to be, and so we just need to do and execute our defense better.
But you got kids that are showing up. You got kids who've taken a couple hits on the face there, cheek, and they're still coming and they're still playing. They got a team this weekend that's one of the best in the States, and they're still showing up. And I know you do this, and I know your coaching staff does it, but I hope the people, the casual fan, the people who like to sit out there and critique, understand how respected those kids have got to be, because it ain't easy playing football, and it ain't easy playing against teams that you're overmatched, and you're still showing, and your kids need to be commended for that and respected for that, and they will get better because of that. And I know you know all this, Nate, but sometimes I think we sit there and we critique and sit in our chairs and think things and say things that just aren't fair.
Toledo Area Athletic Conference this year. What do you? Who are the favorites?
I think Ottawa Hills is probably the favorite right now. They're looking pretty good. Northwood's probably close behind, and then it's a toss-up. I mean,
so there's only 5 teams now in the TAC.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
by the way, the rookie this year obviously is Andy Robinson. Yeah. You're in your 6th.
Yep.
The other 3 guys have 427 years combined coaching. Yes. You realize that between Bob Owen, Ken James, and Chris Hardman. I mean, that's
good coaches in the TAC, right?
Yes.
But 5 teams in the TAC.
The TAC in danger in your mind.
Yeah.
I think with the agreement we've made with that Michigan League, and I'm trying to remember what their name was, but
Sand Creek and
all them, and North Central with them as well. We've got it pretty well figured out how we're gonna, structure it so we can still play games. The hope is that Cardinal Stritch comes back next year, but I think it would be tough. They're looking at the number of freshmen they're bringing up next year.
But you never know with Catholic schools, because they can change it in a hurry.
I mean,
I've seen over the years, in my time, Cardinal Stritch being just terrible one year, and the next year all of a sudden they're loaded, because you just never know who they're going to bring in, how that works.
What's junior high program? What are those numbers like for you at Hilltop?
We have 18, I believe, and I think they look pretty good. They're hardworking kids, and I think if we can keep all of those kids out, that's a huge huge step. We look at our 5th and 6th grade. I believe there's 19 in that program, and most of them are 6th graders. I think we have 14 6th graders playing 5th and 6th grade.
That's great.
So that's huge.
Who is it? You got Antwerp and then North Baltimore. North Baltimore, winnable game.
Yeah, I definitely think so. They play old school style offense. I've seen a little bit of them, double wing.
Fits you better, a little bit better, you said.
A little bit better. I think really the key is stopping their 200-pound fullback, and slowing down the trap.
Yeah. Well, Nate, keep working. We know you're going to, we say that. We know you and your staff and the kids are going to keep working hard. We appreciate the time. And like Bummer said, that's all you can do is just show up every day to work and keep plugging away.
Yeah. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Nate.
Yep.
Thanks.
Nate Massie,
good luck, Coach.
Head coach of the Hilltop Cadets, our guest here this evening here on segment 2 of Sports Weekly. A lot of college football to talk about next. By the way, if you're tuning in, it's only the 4th inning. Baltimore leading Cleveland 2-0. We'll get you there to the finish when we're done here. Foz unveils. You don't even need to watch the college football season. Bummer picks it all. Coming up next.
Bingo.
It's Thirsty Thursday at all the main stops in Northwest Ohio. What does that mean? It means that every Thursday, all day long, you will get any size fountain drink or any size coffee for only 79 cents. All day long, every Thursday, any size fountain drink, any size coffee or cappuccino. Stop in to your main stop and see everything they have to offer every day. Main stops, always there when you need us.
I want to talk to you for the next 30 seconds about the place to go for your next vehicle. Terry Hendricks Ford on Stryker Street in Archbold. Whether it's a new vehicle for purchase, a lease vehicle, or perhaps a pre-owned vehicle, Terry Hendricks Ford on Stryker Street in Archbold is the place to turn. They also have this fantastic service department as well. Service after the sale. Terry Hendricks Ford, serving all of your vehicle needs in Northwest Ohio. Go to terryhendricksford.com.
When it comes to choosing a memorial that represents the lasting memories of a person's life, the Fackler Monument Company in Montpelier, Ohio can create exactly what you are looking for. Like an eagle soaring through the woods etched on a memorial, a bench that has mom and dad's names engraved into the granite to sit and reflect, a picture of the family farm etched on the stone, or maybe your style is a memorial that has a split headstone with a vase in between for flowers. The Fackler Monument Company of Montpelier, Ohio, serving families in the tri-state area since 1924.
The Bryan Parks and Recreation Department would like to wish the Bryan Golden Bears good luck in tonight's game. The Bryan Parks and Rec offers a wide variety of classes for you during the entire year and an array of sporting events all year long. Check out what the Bryan Parks and Recreations Department has going on at bryanparksandrec.com or like them on Facebook. The Bryan Parks and Rec hopes to see you in one of the many parks that Bryan has to offer and enjoy the facilities. Questions about the classes or rental of one of their facilities, call 633-6030.
Here's your updated B-Rock 100.9 forecast. Lows level off around 57 tonight under clear skies. West winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Highs level off around 84 tomorrow. Mainly sunny skies and calm. Lows level off around 60 tomorrow night. Partly cloudy skies. Highs around 86 Friday under partly cloudy skies. 88 Saturday. Chance for scattered showers. I'm weatherology meteorologist Paul Tremblay. Currently, it's 78 degrees.
Welcome back out here to Sports Weekly, a final segment powered by Terry Hendricks Ford. Foz, just quick peek ahead to week number 3. I'm looking here. Lake Archbold. All right, I got it. Game of the week. Liberty Center, Otsego. Both undefeated. Interesting matchup this week.
Liberty Center.
Liberty wins.
Comfortably.
We have Montpelier at Edgerton on B-Rock and Fairview at Bryan on the Q. I want to dive into college football. Last week we talked about off-the-field stuff. I want to get into on-the-field stuff. And before we get to matchups, some change on the field that we're going to see this season. And in particular, coaches. We've got some high-profile jobs that came available this offseason, filled with, in a lot of instances, up-and-coming head coaches, or in some cases, some established coaches. So I want to ask you, short-term, long-term, maybe it's a different answer, maybe it's the same answer. Who has the best chance at success in their new gig? And I'm going to give you some options here, okay? And you can pick from them. Dan Lanning at Oregon, former Georgia DC. Mario Cristobal going home to the Canes. Billy Napier at Florida. Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame. Lincoln Riley at USC. And Brian Kelly at LSU. Very interesting scenarios for all of them, I think. Who, in your opinion, is going to have? Who has the best fit, best situation?
You forgot about Brent Venables from Oklahoma.
Oh, and Brent Venables. You're right. Brent Venables. There you go. Good call on Oklahoma.
Okay.
So of those 7, give me your best scenario.
Yeah, I'll give you right now. Brian Kelly, I think at LSU will be outstanding. I've always been a Brian Kelly fan, and now I know Notre Dame and you guys are all, maybe not you, Angie, can't get over the fact that he possibly would leave Notre Dame to go to LSU. He did. And Marcus Freeman's going to be fine at Notre Dame. But I think Brian Kelly, with those kind of recruits, what's LSU? Something like 4th in the country as far as high school recruits. It's always right up in there. And I think he'll fit in. I know it's the SEC West, and I know you got to play Alabama and Texas A&M. Looks very good. But I think Brian Kelly will be number 1 as far as new coaches to have success. Number 2, Mario Cristobal at Miami. I think this year they're going to win the ACC. They have a outside chance, in my opinion, to make the college football playoffs. I do not have them making it, but I think they've got an outside chance. He's a Miami alum during all of those, the heyday in the 80s and the early 90s for Miami. That would be number 2. Number 3, Lincoln Riley. How do you not love him? He went out to USC. Perfect timing with NIL. You know, he knew what he was getting into with the big money and LA being a big market.
And by the way, if Riley doesn't go to SC, Kelly doesn't end up at LSU probably. That job doesn't probably – I mean, those dominoes that fell.
Yeah, so I like Lincoln Riley. The over-under on them this year is 9.5. I don't see that happening. Not a whole lot of defense. They will score points, but I like long-term success, Lincoln Riley at USC. And then I think Brent Venables, who's never been a head coach but has been a very experienced and had a lot of success as the DC at Oklahoma and at Clemson, will be a great football coach at Oklahoma. But Oklahoma's got to go in the SEC in a couple of years.
I'm going to give you a couple of options here on this next question, and maybe you can think of another one. Jim Harbaugh no longer on that hot seat that he was going into last year. My thoughts are these are the 2 that probably are this year. Scott Frost at Nebraska.
Oh, God.
I mean, you could say that he may not survive coming back from Ireland.
He's number 1, and then it goes back CD.
Not as far back as you would think, though, because they almost fired this guy in the offseason as Brian Harsin at Auburn.
Yeah.
He was real close as well, but it's going to be Frost, you say?
Frost number 1 and Harsin number 2, and you're right. They want to get rid of Harsin. So if he doesn't have a success, he could be gone midseason. He better beat Penn State. I think that's week 2 or week 3. It is in Auburn this year. But if they get beat by Penn State with that SEC West schedule, they also play Georgia every year as their rival game. They ain't beating Georgia this year, I don't believe. That's going to be a long – so he's got to beat Penn State. I'm not so sure he will. Yeah, I'd say Harsin's a close second, and everybody else is distant. But Mike Norvell would be another one from Florida State's got to start winning.
Okay.
But not anywhere close to
those 2.
Frost or Harsin.
And, you know, some guys, it just looks like it's a great hire and a great fit, and then it just doesn't work out, and it appears that way with Frost in Nebraska.
Man, they just can't win close games.
Again,
they're terrible. Did you watch the game? What was he doing on the onside?
Was I breathing?
What was he doing on the onside kick?
I don't know.
Just let him back into the game.
He outthought himself.
He outthought himself, and that's the reasons why they lose all these close games. Yeah. I thought Nebraska – you know, Herbie was picking them to win the Big Ten West. I mean, they were certainly a consideration. You thought that they got a bunch of transfers in. Defensively, even though they gave up, 31 points or whatever it was in Northwestern, still looked all right, I guess, even though I don't think Northwestern's going to be that good. But after the first quarter, the quarterback didn't look very good to me.
Even numbered year, though, Northwestern is good. Even numbered year Northwestern is always good compared to odd numbered year. Yeah. Look it up.
Okay.
Look it up, Fozzie.
I believe you.
Hey, I'm telling you when you leave, look it up.
7.5. Nebraska is their over and under. I don't think they're making that.
All right. Before we get into predictions as far as conference, Final Four, and Heisman, I want to get into games this week. Starting with the Thursday game. Joe Blake is excited as anybody about this game. The backyard brawl is back this season. West Va at Pitt. Who do you like?
So everybody's picking Pitt. Pitt lost a ton. Defensively, West Virginia lost everybody, but their offense should be pretty good. The line keeps going up, which would concern me because Vegas always knows something. It started off at 5.5, I believe. I think it's all the way up to 8 now in favor of Pitt. It's at Pitt, but, Pitt and Morgantown are 40 minutes apart or something like that. I don't know week one. I'm going to take West Virginia to cover. Not so sure they'll win. Don't think Pitt will be anything like they were last year when they won 10 games in the ACC. So that wouldn't be surprised if Pitt wins. I just don't think they cover. I think it's going to be tight.
Before you give me a prediction on this next game, I have a quick local note that I want to pass along. Penn State at Purdue.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Our old friend Ryan Brandt, Angola grad. Keep an eye out for him. He is on all special teams.
Yes.
Kick return, punt return, kick coverage, punt coverage.
And backup defensive back.
And backup,
right? So maybe,
yes.
maybe
so he may see the field. Who do you like, Penn State at Purdue?
Went back and forth on this. It's at night at Penn State. Would normally you like Penn, or
Actually,
excuse me, at Purdue. You always like Purdue at home at night. I'm hearing a lot of things, been reading some stuff that Penn State, what's the one area they've lacked the last few years? The offensive line's been woeful. Of course, Sean Clifford is back at quarterback, who is not going to be first team with C.J. Stroud, but could be second team. And if that offensive line is significantly better that I am reading from independent people, I think Penn State finds a way to cover and win that game. Be tight at Purdue. On Thursday night. Looking forward to that game, though.
3 top 25 matchups this weekend, and this is AP poll, of course, numbers. Starting number 11, Oregon against number 3, Georgia. That game at Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Great opener.
Sure is. Line was 17 points. I think that's a little heavy, don't you?
I would agree.
Georgia lost a lot, and I know we're all in love with Georgia now and should be national champions, recruited as well as anybody in the country. The idea is that their replacements will be close to as good as what they were last year. That defense was maybe the best defense in the history. You could make an argument in college football last year. They won't be that good. Do have their quarterback back, but he was more of a, what's the word I'm looking for with this kind of a
game manager,
quarterback in Bennett, Stetson Bennett. I think Georgia wins at home at night in the Deep South, but 17 points a lot for Oregon team who could win the Pac-12. I don't think they will, but could win the Pac-12.
Luke Fickell and Cincy crashed the Final Four party last year. They're number 23 preseason. They're at number 19, Arkansas, Sam Pittman had Arkansas playing really well last year. This is a very intriguing opening week game in Cincy at Arkansas here. Who do you like in that one?
So it scares me. Do I want to get ahead of myself here in locks of the week or be quiet?
Is this a lock?
This is my lock. Arkansas covers.
All right. So I should have come back. That's okay. So what's the line?
So the line now has actually went back in the favor of Cincinnati more. It's Arkansas's pick to win by 6. It was 7 at one time. It is now 6. That's the best I could get it for. I still think, Arkansas wins this game. Arkansas's loaded on both sides of the ball, everywhere except the wide receiver. Listening to Sam Pittman, the head coach, talk, and he's kind of gives little indications now that he thinks that wide receiving core is going to be better than what people think. It's at home. Listen to Arkansas's schedule. And Arkansas is a darling of the SEC right now, but the reason why that they won't probably compete for a SEC champ, other than the fact that he's got to play Alabama and A&M and LSU and all those teams. Look at this on the schedule here. Cincinnati, they got it home. Cincinnati's not an easy game. South Carolina, home. Missouri State's one they'll win. A&M on the road. Mississippi State on the road. BYU, who, by the way, has 18 of 21 starters back. No one's talking about them. BYU also has a monster schedule. They play BYU away. They play Auburn then away. So they have a stretch there of A&M, Bama. I missed Bama, too. Mississippi State, BYU, and Auburn in a 5-game stretch. 4 of those 5 are away. So how can Arkansas survive that? They won't. They'll be very good. I think they beat Cincinnati. That's my lock of the week. But,
that's good stuff.
But I don't see them winning. It'd be awful tough to win 8 games with that schedule, wouldn't it?
You're not getting this on a podcast at a general store.
No.
I mean, you are
to do
bringing
your homework,
and
brother.
that's all the Foz is about here. All right, before we come back to the one that has huge national ramifications and, of course, regional ramifications, I want to jump ahead. Sunday at the Superdome, quickly. Florida State at LSU. Well, it's not at LSU. It's in Louisiana.
It might as well be, right?
Yeah. Who wins?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. That's going back and forth a lot of people. I think LSU wins. It's a home game.
Monday night.
Tough for LSU to lose in New Orleans.
Monday night, Labor Day night, you get number 4 Clemson at Georgia Tech. That's another coach, by the way, Jeff Collins, that could be on the hot seat at Georgia Tech.
One of my 2 of my 3 locks, Clemson covers. And guess what this monstrous cover would be? -22. They rout Georgia Tech.
So we've got the Arkansas game as a lock. We've got the Clemson game as a lock.
That's right.
All right. Number 5, Notre Dame. Number 2, Ohio State. I mean, I don't even...
Here we go. Go ahead.
Last I heard, I was just reading today, ND is going to get on the plane. They are going to fly to Columbus. I don't know why. I mean, this line is like 27
No
now.
chance to win, right?
No chance. Zero chance. You know, it's just I pick it.
Line started at 13.5. It's all the way up to 17.
17.5.
Is it that high now? Yeah. So I would be very careful if you're Ohio State. Yes, Ohio State's arguably with Alabama got the best roster on paper, but Notre Dame is still Notre Dame.
There is a path. You want to know a path to victory?
Yeah.
The path to victory for Notre Dame is
get the ball to tight ends.
Pressure up front. Yeah. Because Stroud, you're what the Ohio State wide receivers.
We ain't going to run the ball.
So you got to get pressure up front and then ball hog it. Buchner and that offensive line and the running game got to ball hog it. Yeah. Time of possession has to be 35, 38 minutes.
Well said. And use those tight ends.
Yeah.
Use those tight ends.
Because there's nobody better than Baby Gronk in the country.
No, that's right. And
but I know you got Ohio State winning. Do they cover?
No, I don't think so. I think I could see this game right there. And much like Ohio State when they played Penn State last year, everybody was saying the same thing, and it ended up Ohio State won by 8. I think somewhere, I could see Ohio State 10, 11-point win.
Okay. All right. Ready for Power 5 picks?
Yeah.
Who wins the Big Ten?
Ohio State.
SEC.
Alabama.
Pac-12.
Utah.
That's a good pick.
Big 12. They'll beat Florida week 1, too. Big 12 is the one that's the most interesting to me. I think that's the most compelling. I'll take Baylor. But I like TCU. A lot of people like Texas. A lot of people obviously like Oklahoma. I'm hearing even people talk about Kansas State with, of course, their new quarterback from Nebraska, Martinez, who's still playing after 55 years. Baylor. We'll take Baylor.
Martinez will not win a championship. Okay, ACC.
Miami, Florida.
Okay. No Clemson. Final 4.
Yeah, that's the big one there. Clemson or Miami, Florida. I'll take Miami, Florida.
Okay, Final 4.
Clemson's defense is loaded, though. But boy, quarterback. What's Ugadala?
Ugadalunde.
He's going to have to play better.
So your CFP Final 4 teams are?
Nothing really nobody else has. I have the same 3 that everybody has: Alabama, Ohio State, and Georgia in that order. And then my 4th one isn't really a stretch either. It's got to come from a Power 5 conference. I think probably most people will take Clemson. How could I take Clemson if I think Miami is going to win the ACC? It's going to be Miami or Clemson, in my opinion. I do not think Florida State will. But at any rate, I think my take on that is Utah. I think Utah can run the table.
I like Utah.
So Utah is your 4th, Alabama and Utah. And that's not really going out on a limb. A lot of people predicted that.
I'm going to give you now when I say dark horse, I'm not saying to the Final 4. Okay? Dark horse that could be a team that we're talking about, and it's all because of their schedule. Okay? And you're going to go look at NC State.
Yeah, I heard a lot of good things about them.
A lot of starters.
They don't play very
Clemson. They got a lot of. They play Carolina in the rivalry game, but as far as a top-tier team, Clemson is all they have, really. Again, it might be one of those where you look at that second or third poll that's released, and you go, North Carolina State's in the top 10.
You're right, because, schedule induced, and they're supposed to be good, too, and competing for the ACC championship.
Yep.
I got another one for you.
Okay.
Michigan. Look at their non-conference schedule.
You got to settle on that quarterback. You can't say this guy's going one game. This guy. You got to eventually settle.
Other than Ohio State, they've got the most talented in the Big Ten. Now listen, give me
all right, yeah, go ahead.
They'd have to beat Ohio State. I get that. They could do that. And a lot of you're going to say, well, what are you saying about scheduling? Well, they play Iowa. They do not play. They play Nebraska, which has proven to be not very good now. Of course, they play all the Big Ten East teams. They have Penn State at home. They have Michigan State at home.
And a terrible non-conference schedule.
Colorado
really.
State is probably their best non-conference. They'll beat them this weekend by 30.
But I want to say something to you and Ohio State.
Yeah.
You got Ohio State has their first 5 at home, okay? 1 road game. Bye week, home game, I think. So basically 1 road game before Halloween. I mean, think about that.
What's the point?
It's just terrible.
Well, why is it terrible?
Go on the road. Play a couple on the road.
You complain about that, but you don't complain
5
about
at
Alabama.
home.
Alabama,
I do.
Who's went north twice.
But I don't have a
since
Bama
Nick
guy
Saban's
sitting
been there.
next to me. All right. Heisman winner.
You know, a lot of people will like Caleb Williams from USC under Lincoln Riley. Of course, he'll be right up there. Of course, Bryce Young from Alabama is going to have a shot. You could even say Travion Henderson for Ohio State at the running back spot, all 3. But I think with that offense that Ohio State's got coming back, and this is not an emotional pick. The Foz is not an emotional guy on these things. He sticks to the data. With those wide receiving core, which are all NFL guys, a good offensive line, I would not say great. A running back who's going to be an NFL first-rounder. I think C.J. Stroud's got to be your favorite.
Okay. Good stuff this week. Great stuff.
Yeah.
Looking forward to our Friday game, Edgerton and Montpelier. Looking forward to next week when we're joined by Archbold head coach David Dominic and Edgerton head coach Brody Flagel. Appreciate being here. Thanks to Grant Redhead and Nate Massie tonight. Great crowd tonight. Look forward to see you in September.
My man. Look forward to it.
That'll do it for Sports Weekly, driven by Terry Hendricks Ford, J.J. Wins, Bryan Parks and Rec Department, Fackler Monument Company, and main stops in Northwest Ohio. Back to Cleveland and Baltimore in the 5th with Baltimore up 2-0. So long, everybody.